Back with you tonight here in Focus. Thanks for staying on. Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe has told the National Council of Provinces it will take up to 17 years to completely seal off existing mine shafts in Gauteng's abandoned mines. He was accompanied by Police Minister Gwede and Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi to brief parliamentarians on measures being taken to address illegal mining in the country. It follows an ongoing anger and protest over crime allegedly perpetrated by illegal miners on local communities in parts of Johannesburg. Joining us now for his response to the minister's announcement measure is Meshack Mbangula, National Coordinator of the Mining Affected Communities United in Action. Mbangula, good evening and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus. The Minister of Mineral Resources, the Minister of Police, the Minister of Home Affairs, they held to Parliament to say, come speak to us and talk to us about what measures are you putting in place to address this issue of illegal mining. And what comes out of there, amongst other things, is the fact that it's going to take 17 years at least to seal off all the mines, shafts that are being disused in the country. I think in Gauteng alone, we're looking at over 600. Does that inspire any level of confidence in you that something is being done to address this question of illegal mining?
It's a shocking. We need a paradigm shift. We need thinking in a different way. This status quo is a problem because if you spend 140 million every year to close this shaft for 17 years, what will happen to those people who are working or doing that Zama's work? It's just a shift of one problem to another area. That's not solving any problem, but it's just waste of money because those mines should have rehabilitated the place, not the minister. The minister should have regulated to make sure the mines are rehabilitated, the land back to how they find it. But over and above that, when they should have engaged in formalizing this Zamazamas or to make sure that is because it's a sector that needs to be transformed to a leverage, to economic leverage for business opportunities, for employment. Since our unemployment rate is very high in South Africa, we tried to engage them 10 years back to say, look, let's formalize this sector so that we can be able to pay tax, to contribute to the economy of South Africa. But the problem is that our government sees our communities not being able to run businesses. The major sabotage of the economy in South Africa is the government itself, because these are the transformation that should be done to make that place safe. With this 140 million, you go and make these places very safe and make sure these people are formalized, they work into this place and do business opportunities, we reduce employment. Now, they've turned to that this place to be illegal. They don't want to do anything. That means they are saying to us, we won't have mineral rights. It's blacks or poor people. We won't have permits to do the mining. It's only Western people that can do mining. And we should be only modern slave and work for money that is not. I'm very disappointed with the minister.
Mbangula, are you saying then, therefore, the 140 million should not be used to close off the mines, but you're saying those disused mines should be used?
But to make sure that they make these shafts safe.
For artisanal mining.
Yes, because we've got more than 50,000 of these. Where will they go if they close this? Still, they're going to not have money to put. Crime is going to go up. But if they've listened to us 10 years back to say, let's engage and formalize this sector to create business opportunities and all that stuff, would have reduced the issues of calling them illegal miners, but we will call them artisanal miners contributing to the economy of South Africa.
So the Mineral Resources Department, by its own account, admitting that their response has been slow to the warnings of the situation on the ground if these mines are left unattended. Why do you think, what was the agenda here that led them to be so slow to responding to, for example, your 10-year call to say, let's formalize this sector and bring about the necessary investment?
You see, the government, the way they think, it's very disturbing. Because when we engage them, they were only saying they cannot talk to thugs, they don't talk to criminals on these things. But we explained to them, say, look, these guys were working in the mines, and when mine closes down, they only had skills to do mining. And when the mine, you must know, when the mine closes, you lose about 5,000 people to 10,000 people loses jobs.
Yeah.
And now what will happen? They will go back to where they were working because they got those skills and start working on that. But if the mine made sure that is before they close, they give skills to these people for them to be able to be marketable in other sectors. But now we explain all this to them. Let me make an example. In Kimberley, we engage with the Premier, the regional DMRE, and we end up agreeing, formalizing in Kimberley some of the Zamazamas. And they work all right because they got the permit for that 5 years. What makes it difficult for them from that time to now? Because now it's out of hand, and the only thing they are reacting to take them to jail and so on. So they were not listening to us. We were engaging them. We were marching. We picketed in the DMR offices. I don't know how many times. Okay. We even at some 2017, Zamazamas went to Union Building to asking, 2016, to demand that is they should be formalized and work in a formalized way, yeah. Decriminalized.
10 years later, they are now scrambling to try and find someone to hold accountable, and I doubt that they don't know who to hold accountable. But why have they not held those people accountable? Then becomes the question. The portfolio committee discovering, anecdotally, that there could be someone who was in the committee who was benefiting, from example, from the operations of a particular mine. Do you believe that there are people in power who are benefiting from the illicit market, and therefore that's why there is no desire to formalize this particular sector?
Definitely. It's because they make sure that these Zamazamas work there, and they rob them because they pay them very little, and they gain a lot of these minerals and sell them in the formal market. And that's why they know very well if it's formalized, these people won't be selling or won't be giving them these minerals in a very cheap way, and they will lose that. So their interest is there. So now these people should remain so-called illegal so that they can rob them, and they work hard in getting those minerals, but they get robbed, and the guys on power, they benefit a lot. Always these minerals end up in a formal market, and you will ask yourself, how? Because the very same people are very much involved in this. There's a serious syndicate working on these Zamazamas.
How organized are communities that are affected by this in taking advantage of the opportunities? For example, one of the things that the proposal is being made around the artisanal mining regulation is that they will seal them off and they will only allow people to mine on the surface.
Yeah, we see when I work on a certain sector, for you to want to change that sector, you must engage me, that working that sector, because I know how to be able to do these things. But they sit in the offices and they think they know. They're just going to close these holes. But if they can be able to get into, because the Zamazamas are organized. There is an organization for Zamazamas. Makua is there to talk to them on this issue. Or in all the provinces that we have Zamazamas, the people are organized. That's why I'm saying we even went to Pretoria Union Building to give a memorandum demanding the formalization. But if you only steal even this Mintech that is given so much money to close this, doesn't know some of the holes in all these shafts. And how would they make sure that these holes are not reopened? Who will be there all the time to check those holes? It's just a waste of money again. So people will working on the surface. It's very few of them will be working on the surface. It might be they're talking of the issue of safety, But getting even the bigger mines, the so-called big mines, are not safe. People are dying. People die. A lot of people die in the very same called big mines that are legal mines. The sector itself is not safe. People working in there cannot just say because this is big mines, it's legal mine, it's safe. So the sector itself needs to make sure that safety is important.
Mbangula, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for raising these issues and coming on with us tonight. National Coordinator of the Mining Affected Communities United in Action.